The night was quiet, and the old alien base stood like a giant shadow in the desert. The human explorer named Daniel walked slowly toward it, his boots sinking into the sand. For many years, people had spoken about this place, about strange lights and forgotten secrets. Most were too afraid to enter, but Daniel was not like most people. He believed answers were always hidden in dark places. So he came alone, with only a small flashlight and his courage. The entrance of the base was broken, metal doors bent like paper. Inside, the air was cold and heavy. Every sound he made echoed through the empty halls. The walls were covered in alien markings that glowed faintly. They looked like warnings or maybe prayers, but Daniel could not read them. Still, he felt those glowing marks were watching him, like eyes. He moved deeper into the base. Broken machines lay scattered, wires hanging from the ceiling. It felt like a place where time had stopped. There was no sign of life, no movement, only silence, but Daniel's heart was beating fast. Something inside told him this silence was hiding a secret. Suddenly, a faint sound reached his ears. It was soft, almost like a whisper. Daniel stopped walking, holding his breath. The sound came again, a weak hum, like glass vibrating. He followed. Each step heavier than the last. The sound grew stronger, guiding him into a large chamber. The chamber was huge, almost like a throne room. At the center stood a giant glass cage, tall and shining under broken lights. And inside the cage, Daniel saw her, an alien woman, sitting on the cold floor, her hands resting on her knees. Her skin shimmered faintly like silver touched by moonlight. Her eyes glowed a soft blue, staring directly at him. For a moment, Daniel forgot how to breathe. She was alive, but weak. Her hair fell across her face and her movements were slow. When she saw Daniel, she slowly stood up and placed her palm against the glass. Her eyes told a story of pain and hope. Daniel's hand shook as he raised his flashlight higher. Who was she? Why was she trapped here? He stepped closer. The glass cage was smooth and strong, with strange symbols carved into its surface. The marks pulsed with a dim light. Daniel touched the glass carefully. It was ice cold, colder than stone. The alien woman pressed her palm harder, as if begging him to understand. Daniel's mind raced. He remembered stories told by old soldiers, stories of war between humans and aliens, stories that painted them as monsters. But nothing about this woman looked monstrous. Her eyes were not filled with hate, but with sorrow. She looked more like a prisoner than an enemy. He whispered, "What happened to you?" Of course, she did not answer in words, but the way she moved, the way her eyes glistened, it was clear. She wanted freedom. Her silent plea reached him louder than any scream. Daniel circled the cage, searching for clues. There were machines attached to it. Blinking faintly, one panel showed red lights as if warning him to stay away. Another looked broken, sparks shooting out quietly. He tried to touch a control, but the machine shocked his hand. He pulled back, his skin burning. This cage was not only a prison, it was a fortress. He stepped back, breathing hard. The alien woman tapped the glass weakly. Her lips moved, forming sounds he could not understand. But her eyes begged, "Help me." Daniel's chest tightened. He was only one man, unarmed in the middle of a dead alien base. Could he really save her? And if he did, what would happen next? The air around him felt heavier now. The lights above flickered. Shadows danced across the chamber. Daniel could feel the weight of 1,000 questions pressing down. Who locked her here? Was she dangerous? Or was she a victim, left behind by her own people? He stared at her and she stared back. For a long moment, nothing else in the universe seemed to exist. Only a human and an alien woman in a glass cage. Only fear and a silent cry for help. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. The strange discovery he made this night was only the beginning, and deep inside he knew one thing. His life, and maybe the fate of many others, would change forever. Because of the choice he was about to make. Daniel stood frozen in front of the glass cage, His flashlight beam trembled slightly in his hand. The alien woman's glowing eyes never left him. There was no hatred there, no anger, only desperation. It was the kind of look that could break even the strongest heart. She pressed her palm harder against the glass. Her lips moved slowly, whispering strange words. The sounds were soft, like a forgotten song carried by the wind. Daniel could not understand, but he felt the meaning. Her body language was clear. She was begging, she was pleading. He stepped closer, his breath fogging the glass. "Can you hear me?" he asked, his voice low. The alien tilted her head slightly. Her glowing eyes followed every movement of his lips. She raised her other hand and placed it gently against the cage, too. Her body shook, as if she had been waiting years for someone to come. Daniel felt the weight of silence press on him. The chamber around them hummed faintly. The glowing marks on the walls flickered as if alive. The glass cage was more than just a prison. It was a warning. Still, he could not look away from her. Her silver-like skin seemed pale, almost sick. Her wrists were marked with bruises, faint but visible. Chains were attached to the inside of the cage. Daniel's chest tightened. Whoever locked her here had no mercy. Why would anyone treat a living being this way? The alien woman raised her hand higher. Then slowly she pointed at him. Then at the chains. Her message was simple. "You are my only chance." Daniel's throat went dry. He felt like the universe itself had chosen him for this moment, but doubt whispered in his ear. What if this was a trick? What if she was dangerous and freeing her would doom him or all of humanity? His mind showed him two paths, one where he turned away, left her behind, and another where he risked everything for a stranger. The alien woman lowered her head. Her shoulders shook as if she had no strength left. Her hand slid slowly down the glass. The sight pierced Daniel's heart. It was not the sight of a monster. It was the sight of someone abandoned, someone forgotten. He pressed his own hand against the glass. His palm met hers with only the cold barrier between them. She lifted her face again, her glowing eyes filling with tears, and for the first time Daniel felt something stronger than fear. He felt responsibility. He could not just walk away, but how could he break the cage? He looked around the chamber again. Strange alien machines stood silent in the corners. Some were broken, others still hummed with hidden power. He noticed one machine directly connected to the cage. Its lights blinked slowly, like a heartbeat. It looked like a control system, but the alien writing made no sense. Daniel moved closer. He touched the machine carefully. The screen lit up with alien symbols glowing red. The alien woman tapped on the glass, shaking her head. Her lips formed sounds again, louder this time. Daniel didn't know her words, but he understood. Don't touch that. Confusion filled him. Why would she stop him? Maybe the controls were dangerous. Maybe they could hurt her instead of freeing her. He pulled his hand back. She nodded slowly, relief in her eyes. Then she raised her hands again. This time, she mimed breaking something with her fists. She showed him a gesture of smashing. Daniel understood. She wanted him to use force. His heart skipped. The glass looked impossibly strong, but maybe it had a weakness. The thought of smashing it filled him with fear. What if alarms were triggered? What if soldiers or machines came? But when he looked back at her, when he saw her weak body and trembling hands, fear seemed small compared to her plea. The chamber grew colder. The alien symbols on the walls began to glow brighter. Daniel felt a strange pressure in his head, almost as if the base itself was alive, watching, waiting. He shook his head and stepped back to her cage. The woman placed her hands together, pressing them against the glass. Her eyes begged him not to leave. For a long time, neither moved. The silence was broken only by the hum of the machines. Daniel felt his own reflection staring back at him in the glass. But behind his reflection, her face shone brighter. It was like two worlds staring at each other through a thin barrier. He whispered, "I don't know if I can do this." Her glowing eyes softened. She pressed her forehead against the glass, and for a strange moment, Daniel felt something. Not words, not sound, but a feeling deep in his chest. A message clearer than any language. Trust me. Daniel stepped back, breathing hard. This was no longer about curiosity. It was about choice. The silent plea of the alien woman had reached his soul. He knew now that leaving her was impossible. But saving her would mean walking into danger he could not imagine. The chamber lights flickered again. The hum grew louder. Time was running short. Daniel clenched his fists, staring at the cage. And deep inside, a decision was forming. A dangerous decision, but one that felt right, because sometimes the heart sees the truth long before the mind accepts it, and Daniel's heart already knew. He could not abandon her, not tonight, not ever. Daniel stood in front of the glass cage, his mind torn apart. The alien woman's glowing eyes were still fixed on him. Her silent plea pressed against his heart like a heavy weight. One step could change everything. One choice could decide both their fates. He paced slowly around the chamber. The flickering lights followed his movements. The alien symbols on the walls glowed brighter as if alive. Each step echoed like a warning. He felt the place itself whispering, "Do not set her free." But the cage told a different story. Inside, she stood weak and fragile. Her hands trembled, her body leaned against the glass. Every bruise on her skin screamed louder than the glowing warnings. Daniel's thoughts raced. Was she a danger? Or a victim? A trap or a chance for something greater? He remembered the old war stories told by his grandfather. Stories of battles between humans and alien fleets. Stories that painted aliens as monsters without mercy. But looking at her now, she looked nothing like the enemy from those tales. She looked like someone abandoned, punished, and left to die. Daniel clenched his fists. His breath came heavy. The fear inside him fought against the compassion burning in his chest. "What if I'm wrong?" he whispered to himself. "What if this is the end of me?" The alien woman slowly slid down against the glass, her body weak, her eyes closing for a moment. She looked as if life itself was slipping away. Daniel felt panic rise inside him. If he did nothing, she would die here, alone. And the weight of that truth would haunt him forever. He walked closer to the cage. The glass reflected his tired face, two eyes staring back at him, his own and hers. The reflection felt like a mirror of choice, one path of fear, one path of courage. He placed his hand flat against the cold glass, her hand lifted weakly to meet his. The barrier stood between them, but the connection was real. Her glowing eyes filled with a final spark of hope, a spark that demanded an answer. Daniel turned away, unable to breathe. He looked at the broken machines around the room. He looked at the flickering lights above. Every corner screamed of danger, but his heart screamed louder. He thought about his journey. Why had he come here alone? What was he searching for in this dead base? Answers? Treasure? Or something he didn't know he needed until now? A reason to fight for more than himself. He closed his eyes. In the silence of the chamber, he heard his heartbeat. Fast, loud, unsteady. But under it, he thought he heard another sound. A soft, not from the machines, but from her. A strange melody, broken and weak, yet filled with emotion. It was not language, but it was clear. "Do not leave me." Daniel's eyes snapped open. He stared back at her. She was still pressing her hand against the glass. Her lips moved in that strange sound, not begging now, not desperate, but waiting, as if she already knew the answer he had to find. And Daniel found it. He realized there was no middle path, no safe choice. Either he left her to die or he risked everything to save her. And his heart already knew which road he would walk. He whispered, "I will not leave you." The alien woman's eyes widened. A tear slid down her glowing cheek. She nodded slowly, weak but alive with hope again. Daniel stepped back and looked at the cage. He studied the cracks, the connections, the frame. He tested the glass with his fist. It was solid, stronger than steel. But nothing was unbreakable, not when someone refused to give up. His choice was made, fear still clawed at him, but courage had already won the battle inside his heart. The machines hummed louder, the alien symbols burned brighter. It felt like the base itself was warning him one last time, but Daniel no longer cared. He tightened his grip on the flashlight in his hand. It was not a weapon, but it was heavy. It would have to be enough. He raised it, staring at the glass. The alien woman's eyes followed his every move. Her breath fogged the barrier. Her hand stayed pressed in place, waiting. The chamber air grew thick. Every second stretched into eternity. This was not just about breaking glass. It was about breaking chains of fear and mistrust. It was about stepping into the unknown with nothing but faith. Daniel's chest rose and fell. He whispered to himself, "This is the only way." Then he took a deep breath, lifted the flashlight higher and prepared to strike. The choice was no longer in question. It was done. A human had chosen to save an alien against all warnings, against all fear. A bond had been formed through silence, a promise made without words, and as Daniel's arm came down, the sound of glass meeting. Steel filled the chamber. The decision had been made. The story of both their lives was about to change forever. The first strike echoed like thunder through the empty chamber. Daniel's flashlight slammed against the glass and sparks of light flashed across its surface, but the cage did not break. Instead, the alien symbols carved into the glass glowed. Brighter. They pulsed like a heartbeat, angry and alive. Daniel staggered back, his arms shaking from the impact. The alien woman pressed her hands against the glass again, her eyes wide, filled with both fear and hope. She shook her head, then nodded, urging him to try again. She was telling him not to stop. He tightened his grip on the flashlight. Sweat dripped down his forehead. The silence of the chamber had turned into a low hum. The machines around the cage flickered to life. Red lights blinked like warning eyes. It was as if the base itself had sensed his decision. "Come on," Daniel muttered through clenched teeth. He raised the flashlight and swung again. The sound exploded through the chamber. Tiny cracks spidered across the smooth glass. The alien woman gasped softly, her glowing eyes locking onto the cracks. For the first time, the cage had weakened, but with the cracks came danger. Alarms roared to life, sharp and mechanical. The walls shook as hidden doors slid open in the distance. Daniel froze, his blood turning cold. He had triggered something alive. The alien woman slammed her hands against the glass harder. Her eyes begged him not to stop. Time was slipping away. Daniel growled and struck again. The cracks deepened, stretching like lightning across the surface. The glass vibrated violently. The alien woman backed away, shielding her face. The glow of the symbols turned blinding white. Daniel felt the heat in the air rise. It was like the cage itself was resisting, fighting against freedom. From the far end of the chamber, a sharp metallic sound echoed. Daniel turned for just a second. Shadows moved, machines crawling from their hiding places, tall and skeletal, with glowing red eyes. They moved slowly, but their claws sparked with deadly light. Guardians of the cage. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no time, no weapon, only his will. The alien woman pointed frantically at the cracks. Her voice finally broke the silence. She cried out in her strange tongue, her words sharp and desperate. Daniel didn't understand, but the meaning was clear. Strike now. He roared and lifted the flashlight again. With every ounce of strength, he brought it down. The glass screamed as more cracks spread. The alarms grew louder. The guardians moved closer, their metal feet scraping the floor. Daniel's arms ached. His knuckles bled from the vibration, but he did not stop. Again and again he slammed the flashlight. The glass began to shatter, fragments falling like frozen rain. The alien woman shielded herself, but her eyes burned with hope. Daniel screamed, his voice mixing with the alarms. One last strike, harder than all the rest. The glass finally gave way. It shattered into 1,000 shining shards. The sound shook the chamber like a storm. The alien woman stumbled forward, free at last. Her chains clattered to the ground as she fell to her knees. Daniel dropped the broken flashlight, his chest. Heaving for a moment, the world was silent. Only the sound of their heavy breathing filled the chamber. But the silence did not last. The Guardians roared to life, their claws sparking as they charged. Daniel froze. He had no weapon now, no shield. The alien woman lifted her head slowly, her glowing eyes brighter than ever. For the first time, Daniel saw a spark of power inside her, something hidden, something dangerous. She rose to her feet. Her movements slow but steady. Her silver-like skin glowed with strange light. She raised her trembling hands. The air around her began to hum. Energy crackled, invisible, but strong. The Guardian stopped for a moment. There, red eyes flickering in confusion, Daniel stepped back, stunned. He had freed her, but now he wondered, what exactly had he released? The alien woman turned her gaze to him, her eyes soft, filled with gratitude. Then she looked at the Guardians and raised her hands higher. A wave of energy burst from her body. It struck the machines with force like thunder. The Guardians were thrown back, crashing into the walls, sparks flying. Daniel shielded his face from the shockwave. When he looked again, the Guardians were broken, their bodies smoking. The chamber lights flickered, then dimmed. The alarms died, leaving only silence. Again, the alien woman collapsed to her knees, her power spent. Daniel rushed forward, catching her before she hit the ground. Her body was weak, trembling, but she was free. He looked at her glowing eyes as they blinked slowly. She whispered something soft, too faint to understand. But her expression was clear. She was thanking him. Daniel held her carefully. His chest, still pounding, he knew now there was no turning back. He had broken the cage, and with it, broken the line between fear and trust. Whatever came next, he would face it, with her, or because of her. The chamber around them groaned, as if the base itself was dying. Dust fell from the ceiling, sparks shot from broken machines. The ground trembled under their feet. The act of freeing her had woken more than just Guardians. The whole place was coming alive, or falling apart. Daniel tightened his hold on her. Her glowing eyes looked at him, not with fear, but with trust. And in that trust, Daniel felt something shift inside him. He was no longer just a wanderer in the dark, he was now part of something larger, something dangerous, something extraordinary. The glass cage was broken, but the story was only beginning. The glass cage lay shattered across the floor. The alien woman leaned weakly against Daniel, her breath shallow, but her glowing eyes still held fire. The Guardians were broken, their metal bodies sparking. Yet the chamber was far from safe. The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust rained down from the ceiling, the walls groaned like a living creature in pain. The base itself was waking up, or dying. Red lights spun wildly, alarms screamed louder than before. Daniel knew they had only one choice: escape. "Come on," he whispered, pulling her close. She stumbled but clutched his arm. Her touch was cold but steady. Together they moved toward the exit of the chamber. Behind them, the broken machines sparked and hissed, the air filled with smoke and the smell of burning wires. The hallway outside was long and dark. The alien markings on the walls glowed brighter with every step. They pulsed like veins of light, guiding them deeper inside. Daniel felt the pressure of unseen eyes on his back. Every sound echoed. Footsteps, alarms, the crack of breaking metal. The alien woman pointed forward with her trembling hand. Her lips moved, whispering strange words. Daniel couldn't understand, but he followed her lead. Her instincts seemed to know the way, as if she had walked these halls before. Suddenly, a metallic screech tore through the air. From the shadows, ahead, more Guardians emerged. Not tall like the first ones, but faster, spider-like machines with glowing red eyes. Their legs clicked against the floor as they crawled toward them. Daniel froze, panic rising in his chest. The alien woman pushed him aside gently. She raised her weak hands, trying to summon her power again. Blue light sparked around her fingertips, but nothing came. Her body shook. Drained from breaking the first Guardians, she collapsed back against Daniel, helpless. The machines screeched and rushed forward. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no weapon, no plan. but his eyes darted to a broken pipe hanging from the wall. He grabbed it, the metal cold and heavy in his hands. He swung hard as the first spider leapt. The pipe smashed into its body, sparks flying. The machine crashed to the floor, twitching. Daniel stood over it, chest heaving. Fear still gnawed at him, but adrenaline burned brighter. He turned to the next one. The alien woman clutched his arm, whispering again. Her glowing eyes filled with urgency. She pointed to a side corridor. He understood. Fighting was useless. They had to run. He dragged her along, the spider machines clattering behind them. Their legs scraped against the walls, their screeches echoing. The corridor twisted and turned. Doors slid open on their own, then slammed shut again. The base itself seemed to be fighting them, trying to keep them trapped. Daniel's lungs burned. The alien woman stumbled but never let go of his arm. They turned another corner and found themselves in a wide hall. At the far end, a door glowed faintly with white light. An exit, maybe freedom. Daniel felt hope surge inside him, but the sound of heavy footsteps followed. Not the spiders this time. Something larger. The ground trembled with each step. From the shadows, a towering guardian emerged. Its body was built of black steel, its arms shaped into sharp blades, its red eyes burned like fire. It was faster, stronger, deadlier than the others. Daniel froze, his throat dry. The alien woman gasped softly. Her weak body trembled as she tried again to summon power. A faint glow lit her hands. But it was too little. She looked at Daniel, eyes wide with fear. This guardian was not like the others. It would kill them both. Daniel gripped the pipe tighter. His arms shook, but he stood tall. He couldn't abandon her, not now. If he had to fight, he would fight, even if it was his last stand. The guardian roared, charging forward. The ground shook under its steps. Daniel pushed the alien woman behind. Him. He raised the pipe, ready for the impossible. But just as the blade came down, the alien woman screamed, her voice sharp and filled with desperation. Blue light exploded from her body. Not a weak spark this time, but a powerful wave of energy. The blast hit the guardian, its metal body shook violently, sparks bursting from its chest. It staggered, but did not fall. The alien woman collapsed again, drained. Daniel caught her. Pulling her close, her glowing eyes flickered weakly. She had given everything she had left. The guardian roared again, its body smoking but still moving. Daniel's heart hammered. They couldn't fight this thing. Not now. "Run!" he shouted. He dragged her toward the glowing door at the end of the hall. The guardian's heavy steps thundered behind them. Its blade arms scraped sparks across the walls. The sound was a monster's growl chasing them. The glowing door opened as they reached it. Blinding white light spilled through. Daniel didn't think. He didn't look back. He pulled her through. And the door slammed shut behind them with a thunderous clang. They collapsed on the other side, gasping for air. The noise of the guardian faded into silence. Only their breathing remained. Daniel looked around. They were outside. The alien sky stretched above them, filled with strange stars. For the first time, he saw the world beyond the base. The alien woman leaned against him, her body weak. Her glowing eyes met his. For a brief moment, the fear faded. She smiled faintly, and Daniel realized something. This was not just an escape from a cage. This was the beginning of a journey neither of them could survive alone. The desert stretched endlessly under the alien night sky. Strange stars burned above, brighter than any Daniel had ever seen. The air outside was sharp and cold, filled with the sound of wind whispering across the sand. Behind them, the alien base rumbled like a dying beast. Smoke and red light poured from its cracks. It would not stand much longer. Daniel held the alien woman close. Her body was weak, trembling. Her glowing eyes flickered like fading fire. But she was alive, and she was free. He lowered her onto the sand, kneeling beside her. For a moment, he simply looked at her, unsure of what to say, unsure of what he had done. She coughed softly, her breath uneven. Her lips moved, forming strange words in her alien tongue. Daniel shook his head helplessly. "I don't understand," he whispered. But then something strange happened. Her glowing eyes locked onto his, and for the first time, her voice shifted. Slowly, painfully, she spoke. In broken human words, "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel froze, his chest tight. "You speak English?" he asked. Her head shook weakly. "Not well," she replied, her voice soft and strained. Her words were heavy, like every syllable cost her strength. Daniel leaned closer. "Why were you in that cage?" he asked. Her eyes glistened. She looked away, staring at the alien stars. Silence stretched between them before she finally spoke again. "My people. Call me traitor," she whispered. Her voice cracked with pain, not only of the body but of memory. Daniel frowned. "Traitor? Why?" She turned her face toward him. Tears shimmered in her glowing eyes. "Because I protected humans." The words hit Daniel like a storm. He stared at her, unable to breathe. Protected humans? From what? From who? His mind swirled with questions, but he let her continue. She coughed again, her voice shaking. "Long ago. War between your kind and mine, they said. Humans are weak. Dangerous. Must be controlled, but I saw truth. Not all humans are enemy." Daniel's chest tightened. Her words were clumsy but powerful. She had been punished not because she hated humans, but because she believed in them, because she believed in people like him. "My people." "Lock me away," she whispered. "They say I betrayed my blood. They leave me to die in cage." Her lips trembled, her voice turned softer, almost breaking. "I waited so long. No one came, I thought. Hope is dead." Daniel swallowed hard. He could see the years of pain in her eyes, the loneliness, the abandonment. And now, by pure chance, he had found her. He was the one who broke the cage, the one who gave her back the sky. "Why me?" he whispered to himself. She tilted her head slightly. "You are human, the one I trusted long ago. Maybe fate brings you." Daniel's hands shook. He didn't believe in fate, but in this moment, under the alien stars, it was hard not to. The silence between them was broken by a distant sound, a low hum carried by the wind. Daniel stiffened, listening. Above them, faint red lights flickered across the sky. Shapes moved among the stars. Alien ships. They were searching. The alien woman's eyes widened in fear. She grabbed his arm weakly. "They come," she whispered. Daniel's heart raced. Her own people were hunting her, and now, because of him, they were hunting him too. He looked into her glowing eyes. "You're safe with me," he said. The words slipped out without thought, but once spoken, he meant them. The alien woman's lips curved into the faintest smile. For the first time since he had found her, her face softened, not with sorrow, but with hope. She closed her eyes. For a moment, her breathing steadied. Her head rested against his shoulder, and in that small act, Daniel felt a bond stronger than any cage, stronger than any war. But the hum in the sky grew louder. Shadows of the alien ships spread wider across the stars. Daniel clenched his fists. They had escaped the base, but the danger was far from over. The truth was revealed. She was not his enemy. She was his ally, his responsibility. And now, the galaxy itself seemed to rise against them. Daniel looked at her once more. Her glowing eyes opened slowly. She whispered one final word, "Together," and Daniel knew. Whatever came next, he would not face it alone. The desert night was silent. The alien sky stretched wide above Daniel and the woman. Strange stars shimmered like silver fire. The ruined base behind them groaned and collapsed into the sand. Its alarms faded, its walls sinking into darkness. But freedom was short-lived. Daniel sat beside her, watching her breathe. Her strength had not yet returned. Her glowing eyes flickered, Open, heavy with exhaustion, he whispered, "Rest. You're safe now." But even as he said the words, he knew they were not true. Nothing about this world was safe. Not for her. Not for him. A low hum cut through the night air. Daniel lifted his head. Above them, shadows moved across the stars, ships, sleek and black, sliding silently through the sky. Their red lights swept across the desert like searching eyes. The hunters had arrived. The alien woman's hand tightened weakly on his arm. "They come," she whispered. Her voice was soft but filled with dread. Daniel's chest tightened. She had just escaped one prison, and now another cage threatened to close around her. He helped her stand. Her body trembled, but her will was strong. She looked at the ships, then at him. Her glowing eyes held trust. A trust Daniel never thought he would earn from an alien, and in that look he found his strength. "Then we keep moving," he said firmly. The desert stretched endlessly before them. But far in the distance, Daniel saw rocky cliffs, a place to hide, a place to survive. They began to walk, step by step through the cold sand. The stars above lit their path, but the hum grew louder. The ships drew closer. One beam of red light swept across the desert. Daniel pulled her down into the sand, holding her close. The beam passed just above them. For a moment the desert was painted blood red. Then the light moved on. She looked at him, whispering in her broken human words. "They will not stop." Daniel nodded, his jaw tight. "Then neither will we." They reached the cliffs as dawn began to break. The alien sun rose slowly. Its light was not golden like Earth's. It was pale blue. The world glowed in strange, beautiful colors for a moment. Daniel forgot the danger. He had never seen a sunrise like this, but the alien woman's expression remained grim. This sunrise was not freedom. It was a warning daylight would make them easier to find. They climbed into the shadows of the cliffs. Daniel found a small cave, hidden from the sky. Inside, the air was cool. He helped her sit, resting against the stone wall. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. Her glowing skin dimmed, but slowly her strength seemed to return. Daniel sat across from her. "Tell me," he said quietly, "why do they want you so badly?" Her eyes opened, glowing faintly in the darkness. "They fear me," she whispered, "because I know truth. War does not need to be. Humans and my kind can live. But leaders, they want control, they want fear." Daniel listened, every word burning into his mind. She was more than a prisoner. She was a voice of peace in a galaxy ruled by war. Her very existence was dangerous to her people's rulers. And now, by freeing her, Daniel had chosen a side, the side of hope, the side of rebellion. Before he could speak, the ground trembled. A deep rumble shook the cave. Daniel rushed to the entrance. In the sky, one of the alien ships descended. Its engines roared, throwing sand into violent storms. The hunters had found them. He turned back to her, her eyes burned brighter. This time, not with fear, but with resolve, she stood, her body still weak, but her spirit unbroken. She reached out, her hand trembling but strong. "Together," she said again. Daniel grabbed her hand. The sound of soldiers echoed outside, metal boots striking the ground. Strange alien voices barked orders. The shadows of tall figures moved at the cave's mouth. Daniel's heart pounded. This was it. The moment everything would change again. The alien woman stepped forward. Her glowing hands rose slowly. Blue energy crackled faintly between her fingers. Daniel tightened his grip on the pipe he still carried. He was only human, but he was not afraid. Not anymore. The soldiers entered, their weapons glowing with deadly light. Daniel stood at her side. One human, one alien. Both outnumbered, both hunted, yet neither willing to surrender. The cave filled with tension. The first soldier raised his weapon. The alien woman's eyes glowed brighter. Daniel's muscles tensed, and in that single moment before the clash, they shared one look. A promise. Silent but unbreakable. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. And maybe, just maybe, They would change the future of two worlds. The alien woman whispered softly, "Not the end, only beginning." And with that, the cave exploded, with light